Welcome to the class. Today's class is about IR spectroscopy instrumentation. The instrument that determines the absorption spectrum for a compound is generally called as infrared spectrometer, or more precisely, simply a spectrophotometer. Generally, two types of spectrophotometers are available. So the types of IR spectrophotometers are simply two types. They are, one is dispersive or double beam IR spectrophotometer, and the second one is Fourier transform IR spectrophotometer. So these two are the available spectrophotometers for giving the instrumentation. Both of these instruments provide spectra of compounds in the range of 4000 to 400 centimeter inverse. So this is the range that these instruments can provide the spectral information. In the IR spectra is used the radiation, the range that is 4000 to 667 centimeter inverse only. That means these two instruments can give the perfect data for an organic compound. Although the two techniques provide nearly identical spectra for a given compound, FTIR, that is Fourier transform IR spectrophotometer, provide the IR region much more rapidly than dispersive instrument. That means of these two techniques, the modern technique or the best choice is Fourier transform IR spectrophotometer of its signal to noise ratio, because the signal to noise ratio is very important in the determination of structure of an organic compound. The improved signal to noise ratio is available with FTIR, that is Fourier transform infrared spectrophotometer. So that's why the instrument is better choice for obtaining IR spectra. Okay, so the signal to noise ratio is somewhat lower than in the case of dispersive IR spectrophotometer, but it is perfect in the case of Fourier transform. So that's why we can choose this technique as the modern technique. Even though this is the modern technique and modified technique, we can use dispersive double beam IR spectrophotometer also nowadays, because of getting the structural information in economic purpose, because Fourier transform IR spectrophotometers are somewhat cost effective. To get the simple information of IR spectrum of compounds, we can use this technique also, that is dispersive double beam IR spectrophotometer. So that's why today's class is mainly focused on this one, that is dispersive or double beam IR spectrophotometer. So the essential components of IR spectrophotometer, that is a basic requirement of IR spectrophotometer is, these are the basic requirement. One is radiation source, sampling device, monochromators, detectors, signal processing, and output devices. So these are the basic components or essential components in the case of spectrophotometer, that is IR spectrophotometer. Now we will take one by one in detail. First of all, radiation source. The sources are, the source of radiation in a typical infrared spectrometer is a small ceramic rod which is heated electrically in the range of 1100 to 1800 degrees centigrade, and it is made of either silicon carbide silicon carbide means it is simply known as Globar. Okay, so Globar is also known as silicon carbide. It is nothing but a simple ceramic rod. When it is heated electrically in the range of 1100 to 1800 degrees centigrade, then the IR radiation can be emitted out. That IR radiation can be used for the purpose of IR instrument. And one more radiation source is, this is Nernst filament. So the Nernst filament is a high resistance brittle element which is composed of mixture of sintered oxides of zirconium. So simply this is the composition of or mixture of oxides of zirconium and thorium and cerium. So the mixture of oxides of zirconium, thorium and cerium which composed or it is a binding material. When it is heated, then there is a emission of radiation called IR radiation. So it is also one of the source, that is Nernst filament, and this is Globar. Globar is also one of the radiation source used for the purpose of IR radiation. And one more is nickel copper wire. When you heat the nickel copper wire, there must be the emission of IR radiation. So nickel copper wire is also known as nichrome. So take the nichrome and heat the nichrome, then you will get the IR radiation. And the last source of radiation is carbon dioxide laser. So these are the possible radiation sources in the case of IR spectrophotometer. Next one is sampling device. So the handling of sample for the measurement of IR spectra is not that much simple, because glass or quartz cannot be used as a binding as a material for making the cuvettes. Cuvettes is the compartments that the sample has to be inserted. Okay, so glass absorbs strongly at the most of the frequencies in this region, so that's why we cannot use glass or quartz. Okay, so there is no we have to use a particular material. The material is, that is in the absence of glass, salts like sodium chloride. So simply sodium chloride or KBr, these are transparent in the IR region, so that's why we can use these salts for making or constructing cuvettes. So for making or constructing cuvettes, here we may not use glass material or quartz material. We are using sodium chloride salt or potassium bromide salts because they are transparent in this region. Okay, so that's why we can use sodium chloride or potassium bromide in the construction of cuvettes. These cuvettes are called as simply IR windows. The sodium chloride windows are most commonly used for the routine work in the region. Alternatively, rhodium wire heater sealed in a ceramic cylinder may also be used as a incandescent wire source. Okay, so rhodium wire is somewhat cost effective, but we are using sodium chloride windows in the major case. Okay, the KBr cells also used. The KBr cells are the correct choice or right choice because sodium chloride starts absorbing in this region. So even though sodium chloride is transparent in the IR region, it is the starting point. The region is the starting point for the sodium chloride. So sodium chloride is also avoided. The better choice is potassium bromide. It is not of course it is not giving any absorption peak, or it is the most useful or transparent material for the interpretation of an organic compound. So for the construction of a material, that is for the making of cuvette, here we are using majorly sodium chloride or potassium bromide, and selectively we are choosing potassium bromide. A sample technique depends upon the phase of the sample that we have to analyze. So which phase we are taking for the analysis? Is it solid phase, liquid phase or gaseous phase is the important one. So we have to know the sampling techniques also. Now I will take sampling techniques. So mainly there is a type of techniques: gas sampling technique, liquid sampling technique, solid sampling technique. Totally 3 types of techniques. In the solid sampling technique, there are 2 types of techniques that are mainly used. One is mull technique and another one is pelleting. So making of pellet. So mull means making of paste, semi-solid. Okay, so let me take one by one. First of all, gas sampling. Gaseous samples, if we are taken gaseous samples for the instrumentation purpose, to investigate the structure of a compound, gaseous samples are taken in approximately 10 centimeter long cuvettes. So the length of the cuvette must be 10 centimeters and having sodium chloride windows. So for the case of gas sampling method, we will use sodium chloride windows. Sodium chloride windows, and the length of the window must be 10 centimeter, and the cuvette is kept across the path of the infrared beam. That means whenever the infrared beam is coming, in the path only we have to place the cuvette. A path length of the cells can be easily varied over a long range. In these specially designed cuvettes, that is internal surfaces are made of refractive, whereby the radiation can be made to travel through the sample many a time before coming out of it. Okay, so gaseous samples we have to take sodium chloride windows. In the sodium chloride window, 10 centimeter long, so the length of the cuvette must be 10 centimeters. So that cuvette has to be placed at the direction of the IR radiation. Okay, so this is about gas sampling. Now come to liquid sampling, or sampling of liquids. For liquid samples, cuvettes with fixed path lengths as well as of variable path lengths are commercially available. Here the cuvette is of length that is 0.01 millimeter thickness, not here length, here we are not mentioning any length. Here the thickness of the cuvette must be 0.01 millimeter, and here we are using 2 types of windows, that is sodium chloride window or potassium bromide plates. Of course not windows here, plates, sodium chloride plates or potassium bromide plates. So in the form of circular plate or a rectangular plates, that is sodium chloride plates or potassium bromide plates. If suppose we are taken sodium chloride plates, we have to take 2 sodium chloride plates. In between the 2 sodium chloride plates, we have to drop a sample, that is we have to drop a liquid, that is a drop of liquid is dropped in between the 2 sodium chloride plates, and then we have to squeeze the two plates. Okay, if suppose these two are the sodium chloride plates, in between the two plates we have to place a liquid sample in a drop. Okay, simple drop. We have to squeeze the two plates. Whenever we squeeze the two plates, in between the two plates we have a liquid film, right? So there is a generation of liquid film. Now we have to pass the IR source or IR radiation onto the liquid film. Then we have to take the spectra. So this is nothing but a liquid sampling. Okay, so whenever you use sodium chloride plates, the technique must be like this. If at all in the place of sodium chloride, if you use potassium bromide, same two plates, potassium bromide plates has to be taken. In between the two plates, we have to drop a single drop of a liquid, and we have to squeeze the two plates. Whenever we squeeze the two potassium bromide plates, in between the two plates, a thin film of liquid can be generated. Now we can investigate the thin film by passing IR radiation. Now this is known as liquid sampling. Next one is solid sampling. So this is the important one. Most of organic compounds absorb extensively in the mid-IR region. So mid-IR region means that is 4000 to 667 centimeter inverse, so that it becomes difficult to find a suitable solvent whose signal would be not interfere with those of the sample. So in this case it becomes almost essential to analyze the solid itself. So we have to investigate solid itself only. So there are two techniques for solid handling or solid sampling. One is mull technique and the another one is pelleting. So mull technique means making of paste. Mull means just it is in the form of paste. In this technique we will use the compound called it is known as nuzole. Nuzole is the compound we are used in the case of mull technique. Nuzole is nothing but it is a mineral oil. So it is a mineral oil which is known as hexachlorobutadiene. So the name of nuzole is hexachlorobutadiene. It is a it is a mineral oil. That means it is present in the form of oil. When the oil is mixed with the sample which is present in solid form, the oil which is mixed with the sample, we have to grind the two contents by using mortar and pestle. You will get a pasty like or syrupy like compound. So in the pasty like compound or syrupy like compound, there is a mixture of sample, that is solid sample, and your compound, that is nuzole, is present. Okay, so the mull, or it is also known as the mull. So the mull is pressed between two sodium chloride or potassium bromide plates. So as in the earlier case, we have taken sodium chloride plates. In between the two sodium chloride plates, we have dropped a liquid of a drop of liquid sample, and we squeeze the two plates to get the thin film of liquid layer. Okay, so here also we have taken sodium chloride or potassium bromide plates to give a thin film of the sample, but here the sample is present in the form of paste or mull. Okay, in between the two plates we have to place a small amount of mull, and we have to squeeze the two plates. Okay, right. So like that, if the two plates are squeezed, then you will get the a thin film of mul. Whenever you get the thin film of mul, then you have to pass the IR radiation onto the sample. Then you will get the spectrum for the compound. Right. Next technique is pelleting technique. In this technique, we have to take the sample in small proportion. That is, it is 1 gram, 1 milligram, or 2 milligrams. So the small proportion of compound has to be taken for the investigation. So for the investigation of the compound, first of all we have to make the pellet. So pellet is made by the technique, pelleting technique. For that we have to take a smaller portion of the compound. So 1 mg or 2 mg of compound is taken, and here the solvent that is used for this case is simply potassium bromide. So potassium bromide is taken, sample is also taken. We have to take sample and potassium bromide in small portions, and we have to grind the two contents. Okay, we have to grind the two contents, find a powdery compound. So the mixture which is having solid sample as well as KBr, by using the pellet maker, you have to make the pellet which consists of solid sample as well as potassium bromide. After you get the fine pellet, the pellet has to be investigated by the source, that is IR radiation. Okay, so these are the sampling techniques. One is gas sampling, second one is liquid sampling, third one is solid sampling. Solid sampling is mul technique, and another one is a pelleting technique. So most probably we are using pelleting technique. Of course mul technique also used. Next one is monochromators. So what is a monochromator? Yes, in the name itself only it is indicating that it is a monochromator. Generally the source, that is radiation source, can emit the radiation in the form of polychromatic radiation. Here we are placing monochromator because of the purpose of converting the polychromatic radiation into monochromatic radiation. That means polychromatic radiation means, poly means many radiations or in the mixture form. When polychromatic radiation enters in the chamber, monochromatic radiation, monochromators are present in the chamber. There monochromators are nothing but they are gratings or prism. Whenever the polychromatic radiation fall onto the surface of the grating or prism, it can convert the polychromatic radiation into monochromatic radiation. That means various radiation which consists of various wavelengths get converts to a single type of wavelength, or a radiation which consists of single wavelength. That means whenever the radiation enters to monochromator through an entrance slit, and this is dispersed by grating or a prism. So simply prism. In a monochromator, if the emergent beam are sorted out into individual wavelengths by means of a sodium chloride prism, which is transparent to infrared radiation throughout the range of the mid-IR region, that is 4000 to 650 centimeter inverse. Generally prism is made up of potassium bromide because that is transparent in the IR region. Transparent means it will be given a range of 400 centimeter inverse. Why we are choosing potassium bromide only for all the purposes? Because it gives the absorption at 400 centimeter inverse. But Mid-IR region can give the range of radiation at about 4000 to 667 centimeter only. Okay, so that's why potassium bromide is not present in that region. It is transparent. So that's why for all the purposes we are using or we are choosing potassium bromide selectively. And also there is a choice of cesium iodide also. Cesium iodide, because cesium iodide can give the absorption at around 200 centimeter inverse. So this is also transparent for the case of IR radiation. So for the construction of prisms or gratings, the material that we are using is potassium bromide KBr or cesium iodide. These are the best choices for making monochromatous. Okay, because we have to convert the polychromatic radiation into monochromatic radiation via the prisms. These are the material that we have to use, right? Next one is detectors. There are three types of detectors that we have to use in the case of IR spectrophotometer. They are also known as detectors, may also known as transducers. Detectors are also known as transducers. So they are of three types for the investigation of IR spectrophotometer. First one is thermocouples or bolometers. This is one type of IR detector. That means IR radiation has to be detected by using bolometer or thermocouples. And the next one is pyroelectric detectors. So pyroelectric detectors are also used for the purpose of IR detection, that is IR radiation detection. Next one is photoconducting detectors. So these are the available detectors for the IR radiation. Next one, signal processing and output device. The electrical signal from the detector is suitably applied or is suitably amplified or processed before it's sent to the recorder to give an output. So whenever the signal, that is electrical signal that sent from the detector, it has to be amplified, and amplified signal has to be given to recorder for giving the output of the compound or output of the sample. Generally, in dispersive IR instruments, as discussed later, an optical null system is employed to achieve the equal intensities of the sample and reference beams, because the dispersive IR spectrophotometer or double beam spectrophotometer, which has two types of beams, one is sample beam and the another one is reference beam. Both the beams can be investigated or both the beams can be amplified by the device, that is signal processing has to be made by the device called amplifier. Okay, right. So these are the basic requirements of IR instrument. First of all, the basic requirement is a source, that is radiation radiation source. And the second one is, once the source is known, next we have to insert the sample. For inserting sample, we have particular arrangement, that is a sampling device. Okay, device has to be made by particular sample, that is potassium bromide is the perfect sample for the construction of cuvettes. Next one, sampling technique. On which technique we have to investigate the sample? Is it by solid sampling, liquid sampling or gaseous sampling? And then we have to know the requirement of monochromator. So monochromator is a chamber which has gratings, that means prisms. There the prisms are placed to convert the polychromatic radiation into monochromatic radiation for further investigation. Okay, so the grating can be disperse the radiation in two equal forms or two equal beams. One beam has to be reached to sample reference sample cell, and another beam reached to reference cell. Once the sample interacts with the beam, that is a sample beam, it will give a particular transmittance. Once the reference beam interacts with the reference cell, it will give a particular transmittance. So both the transmitted rays or both the transmitted radiations can be detected by detector, and it can be amplified by giving a simple output. So here it is the schematic representation of dispersive or double beam IR spectrophotometer. See here we are having source of radiation, so this is the source, and here we are having gratings or mirrors. So this chamber we call as monochromatic chamber. In the monochromatic chamber we are having different mirrors. So if it is mirror M1, and this is mirror M2, and this is M3, and this one is M4, and here also you are having the mirrors. So these are mirror M5, and this is mirror M6, right? So whenever the radiation which is emits from the source, it has to enter by a entrance slit, and it has to reach to the mirrors. So already the mirrors are placed inside the monochromatic chamber. Generally, what are the sources that we are used for the emission of IR radiation? So it is simply glow bar, which is silicon carbide, and earnest glower, and also there is a requirement of, it is nichrome, nickel copper wire. Okay, so these are the sources of IR radiation. Whenever the IR radiation enters into the entrance slit, here the arrangement that is present, that is mirrors. Now these mirrors can disperse the radiation in two different beams with equal intensity. Okay, if suppose I is the intensity, I has to be dispersed into two different beams, the two different beams of equal intensity. So one beam is passed towards the reference cell. Now this beam is known as reference beam, and another beam is passed towards the sample cell. So this beam is known as sample beam. Okay, the IR radiation itself, it has to convert into monochromatic radiation. After that it has split into two different beams. One is reference beam and the another one is sample beam. When the reference beam reaches to reference cell, so in the reference cell we have the reference material. So reference material, whatever the material if you want to place, the reference material is present here, and here sample cell, which consists of sample plus reference. Okay, and the cuvettes, so the reference cell and sample cell are made up of cuvettes, and the cuvettes are constructed by using potassium bromide salt. Okay, right, as we know it already. Now whenever the reference beam reaches to reference compound, then reference compound, it is a IR transparent compound. As it is IR transparent compound, not IR absorption is not taken place here. That means amount of absorption takes place by reference compound is very minimum. Whenever the reference beam interacts with the reference compound, absorption must be very less. Whenever the absorption is less, then what about the transmittance? A transmittance must be very high. That means if suppose the reference beam which is having the wavy nature like this, when it interacts with the sample, that is when it interacts with the reference compound, amount of absorption that is taken place under the reference cell is very low. So that's why the transmitted radiation will have the intensity like this, because the intensity has not decreased much because the absorption is less here. Whereas in the case of sample beam, when sample beam interacts with the compound or sample present in the sample cell, so the sample get absorbed by the sample beam. When the absorption takes place here, there is a change in the intensity of the radiation. If the intensity of the sample beam is like this and intensity of the transmitted beam must be like this. See here the change in the intensity of the wave, that is this is the incident wave, that is sample beam, and this is the transmitted wave, and this is the incident wave, and this is the transmitted wave. For the case of reference cell, there is not much change in the intensity of the beam, but here the intensity of the beam must be lowered. Okay, right. So depending upon the transmitted beams when interacts with reference cell containing compound and sample cell containing compound, they can be, a reference beam can be interact with the mirror here. So one mirror is placed here, and the sample beam, that is a transmitted beam, can also interact or can also hit by the mirror. So after that the two beams can be mixed, or two beams can be gathered here by the point mirror 6. After that the two beams can be entered by a slit towards the detector. So the two beams can be detected by the detector. Okay, so how much amount of energy is get absorbed, or how much amount of radiation is get absorbed by the sample can be given by the detector. So detector get the information. Okay, so the information can be given to amplifier in the form of electrical signals. Here the amplifier can amplify those signals. After the amplification is completed, the signals get given to the recorder. The recorder will give the fine spectrum of the compound. By seeing the fine spectrum of the compound, we can detect the functional groups, or we can get the information about the structure of an organic compound, or simply a compound. Okay, so this is the instrument that we have to use for the structural interpretation of organic compound. Okay, it is known as dispersive or double beam IR spectrophotometer. Why here we are using double beam? Because the beam is chopped, the beam is dispersed into two different beams. So two beams, double beams, one is reference beam and the another one is sample beam. The technique here we are using is dispersion, so that's why dispersive IR spectrophotometer or double beam IR spectrophotometer. Okay, so this is the information about IR spectrophotometer by dispersive technique. Okay, next technique is Fourier transform IR spectrophotometer. Thank you.